If we're honest, today's video is mostly just an excuse for me to talk about the Inktober challenge that I'm going to be doing, because I realised that I haven't really made any sort of post about that, and I kept meaning to, and I need to make some sort of announcement, but just making an announcement video just felt like a cop-out in terms of video, so I've found the way to make a video that is essentially about that, but not just about that. Hi guys, it's Emma, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to the chaos. I do all things music related on this channel, from putting up covers and show reels to show people what I'm like if they want to book me to work as a musician, to my favourite type of content, songwriting and production-y, styly content. But today's video is something a little bit different. For today's video, I really just want to share some knowledge, some advice, some tips and tricks, resources and things like that I have gathered over the past 2 years. Those of you who aren't new here will know that I have been trying to teach myself music production and mixing and audio engineering and all of these things seriously for the past couple of years, and especially in the past year or so, I have put a lot of effort into just improving my mixing and production skills and all of that stuff. And I know that I'm not alone out there in terms of trying to teach myself this stuff and trying to teach myself this stuff later in life. People sharing tips and tricks and resources has helped me, so I'm just passing some along. So here is a video on how I'm actually teaching myself music production, things I'm doing, resources I'm using, all that fun stuff. Okay, so first of all, we kind of need to cover that when you're teaching yourself any sort of skill in particular, because like music production isn't just about knowledge, it's also a skill that you have to hone. It's kind of a combo of the two. There are things you have to learn, facts and pieces of terminology and all that stuff that you have to learn, but then there are also skills that you have to learn. You're actually going to need a few different methods really to teach yourself it properly. One of the main methods out there that I guess some people would see as not really teaching yourself is that there are courses outside of your traditional university course or like a placement with a production house or something like that. There are courses outside of that you can find online to learn music production that you can pay to go on. There are some free type courses out there as well, but for the most part, any proper courses that actually have curriculum and stuff like that are going to be paid for. And it varies how much they cost and how worthwhile they are. I've actually been going on my first proper paid course over the past couple of weeks. I've been taking one online. And the main criticism a lot of people give for paying for a course is that most of the information you're probably going to learn in these courses you could find online for free somewhere. Somebody's made a YouTube video or an article about it. And that is true. A lot of the stuff that I am learning on this course is stuff that I could also just troll through YouTube videos and learn on my own, and that some of it is stuff I've already learned. But there are other things that go into a good music production, mixing, whatever specific skill this course is aimed at. There are certain things that go into a good course like that you don't get just from YouTube videos. One simply being that these courses are curated to teach you a particular curriculum that is designed to, by the end of this course, you should be able to do this thing. They have module by module lessons that tackle different subjects and that teach you different skills. And the other two big things that they will do is provide you access to somebody who can critique your work. Like a genuinely good course should be one where you're expected to submit something at the end of it. If you're not expected to submit a track to be critiqued at the end of the course, I'd say it probably isn't quite as worthwhile doing it. So it provides you with that, somebody that you can ask questions to directly, who is going to respond because you are paying them to do so, and who should have industry experience. You know, you shouldn't be taking a course just off any Tom, Dick or Harry online. Google the person who's doing the course. I'm taking one from Aubrey Whitfield, and she actually works in an area of music production, songwriting that I would like to work in more. She does a lot for sync, for TV and film, and she does a lot of writing for briefs for record labels and the like. And that's the kind of work that, as I've mentioned on here, I would like to be able to do at some point in the future, preferably soonish. You know, I like to think I'm not too far off that goal. So she's somebody who I can get critiques off, who is actually working in the field that I want to work in, so the critiques are going to be relevant to the kind of music I want to be able to make. Also, it's a first connection. What you actually pay for sometimes by going on these courses is to be in a course with other people who are serious about their music, who are trying to do similar jobs in the industry to you, who will become connections, and it will be run by somebody who will be able to provide you with connections, and sometimes you might find there are other people involved in that course that will also then become a connection. These are the things I would say make a paid for course worthwhile. But it's up to you. You gotta decide what's best for you. Anyway, most of my learning has not been paid courses. This is the first actual type of paid course like this that I have done. I have paid for another resource, but it wasn't really a course specifically. There are so many great free resources out there, websites, magazines, YouTube channels, and just people on social media, just following the social media of other music creators. So this would be my biggest main piece of advice, is just to go and find other people who are creating music content online, especially if they're creating tutorials and stuff, and follow them. One creator on TikTok in particular that I would personally recommend if you are a Logic Pro user, it is mainly Logic Pro based, the kind of stuff she makes, so it might not be quite as helpful if you use something like Pro Tools or Ableton, but you know, little bit of just general content for production stuff as well on there that would be helpful. I would recommend following Sides on TikTok. I've been following her for a while now. I've learned about other resources from her, and also the main reason I like her content over some other TikTok producery types content is because a lot of the videos that you will get on that music production TikTok are going to be the fun tutorial videos where they're showing you some very specific way to get a very specific sound that was used in a very specific track, which is great, not necessarily that helpful. Being able to do all the bells and whistles style production but not being able to do the basics, not very helpful. That, and they're all just obsessed with showing you which EQ curves you're supposed to put on things. Doesn't actually teach you anything about EQ, it just gives you a step-by-step guide, do this, do this, do this, and that doesn't really teach you how to mix. Whereas a lot of Sides content, what I like about hers, and the types of creators I would suggest you follow who do, you know, do similar types of content to this, is that she will post things like her favourite key commands, or key commands you might not have known about, or how to do a specific function, you know, how to get rid of space on an audio track really quickly, how to zoom in and out really quickly and easily, how to jump between different sections in your song or delete an entire section across all the tracks really easily. Useful stuff. And similarly, another resource I would recommend if you use Logic, I can only really recommend for Logic if I'm honest, because I don't follow for anything else, but another one that I really like for Logic users is the Logic Pro Rules YouTube channel. And then in their comment section, you're going to meet other people who are Logic Pro users of various different levels of ability, all helping each other out as well. So, and then one that was recommended to me by a friend where I picked up a lot of useful things about the approach to music production, especially the approach to mixing in particular, is a website called Recording Revolution. That was the site where I started to pick up just really genuinely good pieces of advice around how to approach a mix. So they've got some good articles on there. And again, I think they have some paid courses on there. I haven't taken any of their paid courses or got any of their paid guides, because they've got some just free guides on there about mixing and mastering and stuff. And then they've also got some paid courses that they do. I haven't taken any of them, so I cannot say whether they're worthwhile or not, but if anybody's taken any of those courses, let people know in the comments what you thought of them. And then the website that I'm most excited about, and I'm probably going to talk quite a bit about now, that I would very much recommend checking out if you haven't done so already, is SoundGym. This is one of those pieces of advice that I got from Sides. I can say, as someone who's just used the platform, but is obviously not sponsored by them in any way, that this is just a recommendation that I am giving because I genuinely love SoundGym, and it has been one of the biggest factors in helping me to improve my ability as a mix engineer. Feels weird calling myself that because I still feel massive imposter syndrome when I even imply that I'm remotely good at mixing, but I'm not terrible at it anymore. I have some skills now, mainly thanks to SoundGym. So here's a little bit about SoundGym. I'll try not to rant on for too long. So there's a free version of SoundGym and there's a version that you can pay for. You have to sign up to be like, you have to create a profile on there to be able to really use all the features, but there is a free version that you just sign up, and then there's a version that you can pay for that you can get a subscription to. The main difference is in the games that are on there. So the main thing that SoundGym does is it offers a selection of games for ear training, for doing things like identifying frequencies and the differences between compression settings and things like that. With the free version, you only get access to 3 of the games they offer. With the paid version, you get access to all of the games. I think there are a couple of other differences on the site in terms of getting full access to things if you have the paid version, but the biggest difference is those games. You still get access to all of like the information and the forums and some other tools on the site, and those tools are absolutely brilliant. One of the main things it's got is courses that are completely free to do on there in recording and audio engineering, live sound, mixing, and mastering. And basically, these courses are just a bunch of YouTube videos that you could find for yourself online relatively easily, but actually sometimes it isn't that easy to find some of these YouTube videos, especially if you don't know what to Google. Like, one of the best things I think about having a curated course like this is that you don't necessarily know what to look for when you're trying to teach yourself things. Picking up a course or a book that is just trying to teach you the basics of audio engineering or something is going to list out the different things you actually need to learn. But when it comes to teaching yourself things, more important than what courses you take or what resources you're looking at is the opportunity to just practice, and to practice well, because just repeating something over and over again isn't good practice. In order to practice well, you have to be repeating things and then learning what you did wrong, and then go away and practice the thing that you've been advised on. And that's another thing that SoundGym offers completely for free, and also in its paid version. Within the forums that are on SoundGym, there are a few that are dedicated to basically critiquing people's mixes. So you can submit a track that you're working on to the forum, and people will just give you advice. There's an entire forum called the Mixdown Training Room, where the people who organise it are actually able to offer stems from projects that they have gotten a permission to use for this learning purpose. They give the stems out in a reference track every single week, and then you can mix your version, trying to make it sound as much like the reference track as possible, submit it, and then people will critique it with the reference track in mind. So they'll specifically be saying, hey, here's something that you did that isn't really sounding like that track, and here's how I would have done it differently, something you might want to try and fix this issue you're having. And then you can even submit a new version a few days later if you want to try and tweak some of those things in your mix. Anyway, there's that, and then there are the games. Like I said, the games are for specifically training your ears. So you're still kind of practicing, but you're practicing the skills rather than just practicing mixing as a thing. You're practicing specifically identifying certain frequencies, identifying what different EQ curves can sound like on different instruments. I'd say they haven't given you some of the most useful games in the free version. Understandably, they want you to pay to use it, really, and you don't get any compression games in the free version, and the compression games are very much worthwhile doing. I have actually been able to hear differences in compression for the first time ever from having used these games, because, you know, it's not something you can hear if you don't sit down and really listen to the differences. But there are also other game-like features on the website that you can take part in for the free version as well, because what happens is when you complete your daily training of your 3 games, you get sound coins for that. Those sound coins you can then spend on the site, and one of the things you can spend them on is these competitions that they have. So they have an EQ weekly competition, they have this Olympics, SoundGym Olympics competition, which is different games. There's a Beat Racer one, so it's for like making beats basically. I haven't used all of those features yet, so I can't go into lots of detail about them, but there are also other helpful game-like features for helping your training that you get access to. It's just you got paid with the sound coins for them. You can also use your sound coins to buy sample packs on there and get discounts off, you know, I think there's a microphone company that they actually have a discount you can get for, and other training programs out there that they offer discounts for. Anyway, I could go on and on about SoundGym all day because it's genuinely been one of the biggest things that has improved my mix abilities. On to the last thing I wanted to mention though, because as I said, practice is the most important part really of teaching yourself anything, and actually just sitting down and practicing mixing, practicing producing something as often as you can is the main thing that's actually going to make you improve. And it's one of the things I struggle with most when it comes to teaching myself stuff like this, because I'm not very good at forming habits. So I can't do that thing that people do where they say, oh, I'll just produce something small every day, you know, I'll spend an hour every day just producing something. It's like, no, that's not how my brain works. I tend to find that I improve more and I learn more, and generally I soak up more of what I'm actually trying to do if I follow when my energy is saying, hey, today I'm going to spend all day just recording, producing, mixing stuff. It even works with stuff like admin. Like, I can't make myself form habits around my admin, but randomly I will get these days when my brain just goes, hey, we really want to do admin today. So something I do instead that you guys will have seen that I do is I set myself these challenges, because I work really well when I have some sort of outside deadline to work with. And obviously something I set myself isn't really an outside deadline, but if I set myself a challenge that I then talk about online, or that revolves around something else that will give me those artificial deadlines really works. Really, really works. My brain loves that. I also really like the accountability of setting myself challenges that I then film for my YouTube channel, because even if nobody's watching these videos, it doesn't really matter. The idea that somebody might is enough to make me feel like, well, I said I was going to make this video about this thing, about this challenge I was going to do, so now I have to do the challenge. And I am about to start one of those challenges, or technically I've kind of already started it a little bit, because I've been doing some prep for it, that you may have seen me do before if you've been following me. My Inktober challenge. Literally just been over the past couple of years I've done this. If you don't know what Inktober is, then you might have heard of it. It's a thing that artists do online. Basically every year in October, a list of prompts are released for every single day of October, and they're supposed to draw a picture for that prompt on that day. Now, I decided to do a version where I would write a song for every day of the Inktober prompts. And last year I said I was going to not just write a song, I was going to do like a very short, fully produced track. Unfortunately last year, life got in the way. I got ill, I got stupidly busy, I was away on a retreat, and I fell behind because of being ill, and then wasn't able to catch up because of being too busy and ill for quite a while as well. It's not like I was only ill for a few days. I was gutted. We're trying again this year. I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to produce a short track for every single one of the Inktober prompts. I'm not going to follow the exact rules of the Inktober challenge of like I have to write, record, and put it up all in one day. So my rule is just that each track has to be posted on the day of its prompt. So I've got this goal that has a deadline. It's got the deadline of each track needing to be posted by the day of their prompt. And I've got this overall goal basically of writing 31 short tracks in this month, and hopefully from it I will get to really practice a lot of production and mixing skills. That works for me, setting myself these big sort of challenges that I do every now and then. Maybe your brain doesn't work like mine, and maybe you work best by having like a habitual thing that you build up of, I'm just going to do this every single day, I'm going to do a quick 8-bar loop every single day. If that works for you, do it that way. But just find a way that works for your brain to practice. Just don't fight your brain to try and practice in a way. Like, don't try and force yourself to do something every single day because everybody says if you practice every day, you're going to get better. It's like, well, not necessarily. I mean, if you're not practicing well, it doesn't matter how much you do it. And I would say it's better to focus on practicing in a way that works for you and that you're going to get the most out of and learn the most out of. My Inktober challenge will start on Sunday. I've already been prepping for it. As you guys will have seen from the past couple of videos, you'll have seen that I was actually using a couple of the tracks that I'm going to be doing for it in those videos, so you'll know that I have been doing some prep already. It's going to be an excuse for me to try out new plugins and stuff and all sorts of things, and I'm hopefully going to learn a lot from it. So if you don't already follow me on all of my socials, you're going to want to do that now because, well, I will be posting each of the Inktober prompt videos on here as well, but, you know, you might want to follow my TikTok and my Instagram as well, so you see them on there, and then you can like them multiple times for me. But in all seriousness, if you have enjoyed this video, then please do hit that like button, leave a comment. Let me know what any great resources you have been using as well. You know, share information in the comments about things you have been doing if you are also trying to teach yourself music production. Sharing is caring. And if you're new here, then hit that subscribe button. Obviously, you know, it's quite a commitment subscribing to a channel, so you might want to check out a couple of the other videos before you make your decision, but I think you're going to like it here. All of my socials are linked in the description below if you want to follow me to see the Inktober chaos that's going to come. And also, you might want to check out my Buy Me a Coffee. I have a membership that you can join that will get you access to extra content, and this month there's probably going to be quite a bit of extra content around the Inktober challenge. That's all for this week, guys. See you on Sunday with my first Inktober prompt. Ah!